Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Glad to welcome so many back from lunch already. That's great. Nice to see you all. Welcome to the afternoon session of the SoccerX Asian Forum. I think all the panels have been varied, different. They've all been interesting. They've all raised new points, new challenges, I think, for everyone who's taken part and everyone who's been in the audience. And we intend this panel, hopefully, to be the same. We've got a very interesting mixture. We've got a stellar lineup, I have to say. Because of the way we're doing this, we have 3 panel members who have short presentations to make. So as I said to the technical expert beforehand, my role is a little bit like conducting both a symphony orchestra and a jazz band at the same time. But hopefully we'll make very good music for all of you. What we do want to do later on, we do want to have time for plenty of questions and answers, a lot of interaction with the audience. So we'll keeping an eye on you all and making sure you're paying attention so you can join in later. And what I will do first is introduce the panel. We have, starting on the far right, Adel Izzat, who is the Managing Director of Marketing of Abdul Latif Jamil, which is the major Toyota distributor, and he's particularly come to us and be talking to us about the adventures and the progress that's been made, which is remarkable, which I didn't know about, in Saudi Arabia with the league there. We next have a very happy man, because he's a Real Madrid fan. This is Adolfo Barra, who is the Managing Director of the Spanish League, the Liga Nacional de Fútbol Profesional in Spain. Adolfo. Next, we have Kunihito Morimura, who is President and CEO of Dentsu Sport Asia. Most of you will know that Dentsu has been a very loyal, committed supporter of football, both regionally, domestically in Japan, and also internationally for many decades. Next, we have Jeff Slack, who is in charge of IMG's International Global Football Program, and has got some very interesting tales to tell about his new adventures in India. And he's promised he's not going to talk about cricket, which would have been interesting. But anyway. And on my immediate right, Sunil Gulati, who is known by all his titles, particularly as president of US Soccer, also as a member of the executive committee of FIFA. But also, Sunil, going back a very long way, is one of the most loyal and hardworking pioneers of building up soccer in the United States, long before MLS, long before all these sort of the recent fun and games. So welcome to the entire panel. And what we would like to do, I've asked each of them just to give us a very quick headline about the particular subject we're going to address, which, as you know, is building leagues. And so maybe, Sunil, we'll start with you. And I know you've got a few things you'd like to say, but just one of them we'll do as a start.
I was just going to say I agree with all of them, but now you asked me to go first. I think in starting our league and some of the things that we'll talk about today, it's extraordinarily important to know that the regulatory framework, the legal framework, all of those things is very country specific. The way we started Major League Soccer, the way that Jeff has gone about things in India are really tailored for those countries. So you've got to learn from the experiences both of the country and internationally. It's not one size fits all. The way leagues started in Europe is not going to be the way that works in other places in the world. And I think that's absolutely critical to keep in mind as we go forward, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in North America, or other parts of the world.
Thank you. Jeff.
Thanks, Keir. And it's a pleasure to be here, so thank you for having us. I think our experience at IMG is that clearly the macroeconomic world is moving to Asia. I think one of the reasons we're all here because of that. Secondly, football is extraordinarily popular in Asia. But third, what we found is often the footballing structure has lacked some of kind of best practices that you might find in Europe or even the United States. And so what we've been trying to do is do that into some of the key markets into Asia. And where you find that that's essential is, like everywhere else, clubs and leagues are the basis upon which national teams do well, national pride about football, where kids go to begin to play. So I think this panel is essential in discussing that. And how do you take those kind of best practices that we've learned in markets where football has had more of a history into markets where it's extraordinarily popular today, but somewhat lacking the structure and, as Sunil alluded to, even the governance to allow it to flourish.
Thank you. Cooney.
Yeah, thank you for the having a chance to be here. Actually, for Dentsu, I think some of you know already. We are Japan-based advertising agencies. Of course, sports is one of the pillar business for us. And for Dentsu, many years, we market Japan football and Japan Football Association, more than 20 years marketing agency. And J-League, we already signed a 5 years agreement to exploit also J-League, how to internationalized for J-League to Asia and to the world. Of course, J-League started in 1993, and the last 20 years, that's quite good success of the J-League. J-League produced a lot of the players, now a lot of Japanese players now in Europe. So today I have a little bit, not a secret, but I have a little bit history of last 20 years of J-League, and also the little bit struggle moment at this moment for the J-League. Of course, a lot of people talk about the success of the J-League, but if you talk about the Premier League compared with J-League, also if you compare with other leagues in Europe, of course J-League still a lot of things to do. So that's something I really need to focus on next couple of years. J-League need to step up a little bit, and this is not only the commercialization, but also how to build the brand in Asia and globally. So I have small slides to share with you later.
Thank you. Adolfo.
Hi. First of all, I'd like to thank SoccerX for the invitation, and Jordan as a country. This is a beautiful and really honor to be here. Talking about where we come from, we are the Spanish League. Probably you all know who we are. We have a long history, but we need to be reinventing ourselves every 10, 15 years because the world is going global. We were a local league, very successful, seen in many countries, and now we need to go from Spain, going global. What we're doing is we're going around different countries, also learning from upcoming new leagues. So obviously experiences of those leagues help us, and try to, again, get best practices and sharing our experiences with them to help everybody grow the sports worldwide.
Thank you. Adele.
First of all, I'm very glad to be at my second home, Jordan, and I'm very thankful for the organizers for this conference. I would like to focus on the power of sponsorships. In the past, conventional sponsorships are in the benefit of the sponsors, the companies who are putting money to sponsor a league or tournament. All the values are getting to the sponsors. I believe that there is an opportunity for sponsors to elevate the game and elevate the league. We had the experience in Saudi Arabia where we've partnered the league and we've taken it to the next level in terms of attention, viewership, match attendance as well. So there is a lot of opportunities to do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Adele, we're going to ask you to start with your presentation for us, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be talking about the ALJ League, the League of Saudi Arabia. We as a company, we're a distributor of Toyota. We're the biggest distributor of Toyota in the world. We've decided to get into sports for obvious reasons. Saudi Arabia is a fast-growing country in terms of population and one of the fast-growing economies in the emerging world. 65% of the population is below 25, and football is the only entertainment forum for the young guys in Saudi. So it's the passion of the young guys. According to our researches, 96% of the people, of the young men, are followers of football in general. In addition to Toyota, our brand is also interested in the football global sponsorships. according to a Ripcom research, the local league is getting more attention than the European leagues. So 86% of the football followers are following the ALJ league. If you compare it with the La Liga and the English league, you find also people are so interested with the European leagues, but they're giving more attention to the local activities. So we've started to adapt our company philosophy, which is putting customers first, to putting fans first. So everything we do in our sponsorship is around the fans, which is the young guys, which is the majority of the population of Saudi. The pillars of our sponsorship, first of all, is the digital pillar. The Saudi young males and females, they live their lives online. So Saudi Arabia have been one of the highest countries when it comes to smartphone penetration, YouTube viewership, Twitter and Facebook penetration as well. So we made sure that our brands are visible and we get the right rights in our contracts. And we've started to create an entertainment experience for the young Saudis. The last pillar was the moment of truth, which is the interaction with the customers when they come to our showrooms. For the digital, we've built a two-way communication platform with our customers. One example is the best player of the month, where we conduct this contest through our digital channels. We've created Facebook, Twitter accounts, Instagram, and YouTube. And these are some of the results we've achieved, like almost 10 million page views in season 1, 450,000 fans in Facebook in one season, and almost 400,000 followers in Twitter, which is huge in one season. And also we've got almost 10 million views in our YouTube channel, where we have created an entertainment show for the football. We've also made sure that our brands are feasible. So we're in the sports, we would like to get good returns. So we've used the best agencies in the world to make sure that we're getting what we should be getting. And today we're getting 44 minutes of brand exposure per game, which is in line with the global standards. We didn't stop there, but we decided to be innovative in the way we have our brands exposed to the fans. This is one of the things that we've created internally, where a car delivered the ball for every match to the referee. So this is one of the players, he's so excited about it. So you find every game, the referee gets into the car, and this is like a branded entertainment that we're promoting our products, of course, but through making the people happy. We also use some of the disabled children to drive those cars by remote control. So we're helping them as part of our CSR. One of the things that we focus on is the match experience, which is the branded entertainment shows that we do before every Classico and Derby. And we've reached to the level where people are waiting for these activities. So they come to the TV like 10 minutes before the game to watch what we're doing. This is one of the pictures. If any brand can create this picture, that means the brand can create engagement. And this is what I was referring to what I was saying, that we would like to elevate the whole league viewership. This is an example of the entertainment activities we do for the fans before the games. Just to summarize some of the results, I find it very, very interesting to share with you a lot of results if you're interested later on. But some of the results, the match attendees have been raised on season 1 of our sponsorship by 38.5%, which is great. So you see the number, almost they're reaching 900,000 people attending the match versus 650 the season before. The interesting fact is the TV viewership, which has been raised by almost 80%. And we refer that due to the engaging activities that we're doing with the fans and entertainment that we've created. And I've shown you some example, sort of for taking your time, but just wanted to give you some ideas about the power of sponsorship and how it can makes the league more powerful and more entertaining. Thank you.
Adel, thank you very much for that. That was fascinating. I mean, the Saudi League has been running for what, 40 years?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So it's not as if you're just suddenly creating something new. It's something you're working with and you're developing. Well, how do you then, great statistics, how do you then compute that in commercial terms, the value to you?
Well, if you look to the season one, of course, we're using one of the greatest agency in the world for sport tracking measures, Repicom. They're tracking for us the viewership and the awareness, the on top of mind. The results were great. We've achieved 86% of prompt awareness in season one, and on top of mind awareness was ranging in the range of 65 to 67. Which is great for the brand, which is Toyota. The awareness is high as well, reaching 80%. The recall is reaching 80%. The awareness is reaching also around 60%. We believe that these are very good returns for season one.
It's certainly doing the job for you. Yeah, certainly. Fascinating. Adolfo, I'm going to ask you to take the stand, if you wouldn't mind. I mean, the fascinating thing, which I think most of us have recognized and seen in Spain over the last few years, is the way in which an established old, one of the most established old European leagues has gone out deliberately and rebranded itself to create itself a new image. It's given itself a total makeover. And that's what Adolfo is going to tell us about, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. I will do a small presentation on who we are, where we are as a Liga global platform, and where do we want to go, and how we plan to get there. There's no question, I think, that we have the best teams in the world when it comes to leagues. Out of the 4 finalists in European competitions this year, 3 are Spanish. So Real Madrid, Atletico de Madrid and Sevilla are going to be, Sevilla plays tonight, and in 2 weeks' time, the other 2 teams will be playing the Champions League final. So we are very successful as club level, but not only the 2 top teams, but also the rest of the teams. And we undoubtedly have the best players in the world playing in our league. Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Diego Costa, lots of players always come to Spain to play. So we're very successful in that sense, which leads us to be very well known in terms of audience competition. In our country, we're no doubt the number 1 asset. We have more than 20 million fans, which is 50% of our population, 100% engaged with football. 10 million viewers of football every weekend out of 40 million people, so it's a lot. But that's not the impressive figure. The impressive figure is when it comes globally. We're a truly global brand. We have 802 million people that watch La Liga football every year. We are broadcasted live 2 games per weekend in more than 80 countries. And between delay games and highlights, we are present in more than 183 countries. So we as a football television content are well known everywhere. It's just a breakdown of audience. Just give you, we are competing for leadership in terms of audience and fans with the Premiership. There's no question about it. Outside Europe, obviously, the key countries for us are Middle East, where, as in Saudi and the rest of the countries, we are the preferred league, which is great news for us. And we're doing a lot of efforts. We have an office in Dubai, and we are very active in this region. We're obviously leaders as well as a foreign league in Latin America. And we need to grow in Southeast Asia. So one of our key focuses is going east, as we say, going Southeast Asia, and keep our leadership position here in Middle East. Right, so how do we plan to make the league bigger and to grow our fan base? Strategy number 1 is we've started this season what we call a multi-hour kickoff time. because it's good for Europe if the big games are at 8 o'clock at night, even good for Middle East. But that means that in Southeast Asia, they will see you at 3 o'clock in the morning. And in Latin America and United States, they will be early in the morning. So there's nobody watching, or very little people. So what we have done is we have kickoff starting times from 12 in the morning. So we have one game every Sunday at 12 in the morning. We play Saturdays at 4 o'clock. We play Sundays at 5 o'clock, at 7, and then Saturdays and Sundays, 8 and 10 o'clock, which means that we are in prime time for Europe and Middle East and Africa for all games, and then 30% of the games are prime time in Southeast Asia, and 30% of the games are prime time in the American continent. And we also make sure that we have relevant games at those prime times in the different countries. Because obviously, if you have low-level games, nobody's watching them. So that's a strategy that we have started this season, and we plan to continue doing the same thing in the future. Then we not only want to take football to the fans through television, through internet, through mobile phones, we also want to be there. We want to take our teams to the countries. We want the people, our fans, to be able to touch and see the players. So we have organized for the next 3 years, I think what we call the LFP World Challenge, which means that for the next 3 years until 2016, we will be taking Spanish teams of the first division to play key local teams in the key countries. But no, we will not only do that, and we also talk to the local governments, federations and associations to do collaboration agreements, because we want to share our experiences with them, because we believe the only way to grow in the different markets is to be in the heart of the fans. And just go in there, play one game every year and disappear is not enough. So you need to be there, to be present in grassroots, in the scholarships. So we're very active in that as a strategy going forward. This is just a map of the countries that we are planning and continents we're planning to play over the next 3 years. Again, as I said, we will be taking all our top teams to play big teams in the different countries. And also, together with the football games, we will play in the different countries internationally, because we think about our sponsors, obviously, present and future sponsors. We not only organize a football game, we organize something what we call business experience. So what we do is when we go to play to a country, we do collaborations between the Spanish government and the governments where we play, so that we celebrate a business encounter between top companies of each country. And we try to make sort of like a business model worldwide where companies from other countries can also participate in these encounters in the different matches. And our third strategy is obviously digital. The quickest way to get everywhere in the world is through internet, but you have to do it right. So we are taking our first steps in this area. We're learning from different experiences that have been happening in sports in other areas. We just signed a deal a month and a half ago in America with Twitter. It's called Twitter Amplify, copying or replicating the model that the NFL has with Twitter, where we use Twitter to distribute exclusive content of the Spanish Liga. We want to reach minimum of 80 million Twitter users worldwide with specific Liga content. We're doing exclusive apps for consumers. We develop a very exclusive that we have in our stand for you guys to see, our second screen with live tracking information from the games. We translate this to consumers, so they can follow the games not only on television, they can have their iPads or their mobile phones, seeing which player has been running more than the other, how many passes he's completed, and all those statistics. And we're open to all new media models that are coming up to make sure that we are there and we are pioneers in this area. So that's basically our plans for the next 3-4 years and how we plan to go from Spanish League known globally to be a truly global brand over the next, as I said, 3-4 years. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Adolfo. I think most people know how the Premier League sort of started in England. Is there a particular moment when it was decided in Spain that you're going to take hold of the Spanish League and rebrand it and rebuild it in this way?
You make me a tough question, a tough historical question.
That's why you're on the panel.
Like the Premier League, that we have very teams with a lot of history, have teams who have more than 110 years. All the big clubs like Madrid, Barcelona, Athletic de Bilbao, Real Sociedad Española are centenary teams. I think we have, if I'm not wrong, this year 7 centenary teams that still play and still exist. And I think it was back in 1924 when we first created a Spanish league, and it's been evolving for many years. And the key challenge for us was when we went from a model where the season ticket holders own the clubs until they had to go public. So there are only 3 clubs in the Spanish league, which are Madrid, Barcelona, and Athletic Bilbao, which are still owned by the season ticket holders, and now they are like a public institution.
So in effect, it was the force of having to restructure really the system that drove the need for change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was that, and also I mean, as you know, in many other countries, as was financial situation of the clubs, when there is no clear ownership, clubs tend to spend a lot of money and they get into financial problems. So by turning to this structure, clubs are more run like companies, and therefore you have control over how much money they spend, and they need to make sure that they have a sustainable business model for being there for many years.
Sure. How do you persuade some of the big clubs, I mean the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, to come on board with these very early kick-off times, maybe on a Saturday? Was that not a little bit of a difficult sell to them?
I think in a sport like football, especially in our country with so much history, changing things is always difficult. People want to do what they're used to. So when we started this a few years ago, people are used to go to watch football at 5, then you do it at 7, they complain. You do it at 12, they complain. I mean, that's, everybody will have an opinion on it. But the reality is the big clubs are also in the same boat like us. I mean, Real Madrid and Barcelona, they want to grow in Asia. They want to come to play here. They get huge fees for those games. And the only way they are known here is if they are seen live. So I have to say that at the beginning we had some not problems, but discussions with the clubs, but now they're happy with it. We have also proven that having these multi-kickoff times increase audience for all clubs, because when they all play at 5 o'clock, I mean, if there's a game of Madrid or Barcelona, everybody will watch that. And even if either you are a hardcore supporter of your team or you will watch those big games. And now with this strategy, we have proven that some of the audiences of small clubs have been multiplied by 10 compared to previous years. So they're aligned with the strategy, and which is good. And we, as I said, we plan to carry on with it.
Great, excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's fascinating. We're now going to move on and ask Kuni to take to the podium and talk to us. I have a particular memory of J-League in Japan because I was actually at the opening game of the J-League back in the National Stadium in the 1990s with pop bands and fireworks and all the excitement. So I've always watched the success of the J-League with great interest. Kuni, it's all.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Thank
Thank you.
I think the last 2 presentations quite impressive, especially for the. For me, I always think about marketing, how to commercialize the league, J-League, also how to raise Asian football level up to cross to the other leagues. And of course, for Saudi League, is a lot of hint of the marketing ideas is something I really want to apply to right away. And I don't call the sponsorship because sponsorship sometimes is unilateral, so I really call it a partnership. Both parties have to beneficial sponsor and our sales, so clients and us. So also the Liga Española is quite a successful league, and also a lot of the people in Asia is following, and of course quite strong the league, and very much a lot of inputs. And now, of course, talk about a little bit about J-League and a little bit about Asian football, and also I have some ideas how to build the Asian football to the next level. This is just first part is a case study for the J-League. I think, as you know already, J-League started 1993. And the last 20 years is quite successful league, domestically very successful. But I don't say this is a J-League still behind. J-League need to be changed a lot. Still need to, a lot of things need to learn from different leagues. But again, J-League is last 20 years is a great success. And in 1993, J-League started in 10 teams. Only one league is the J-Leagues. But now, it's the last year, 2013, J-League expanding to 40 teams. We have J1, J2, and J3. So 3 leagues now is 40 teams. So this is, of course, the developing a lot of the club. Of course, some club makes money, some clubs are not making money, but at least the progress of last 20 years is the teams increasing. And also, I can say that a lot of J-League players now in Europe. And this is something grassroots and development. The last 20 years is a great success. And of course, some people say, where's the next? Of course, J-League is since a lot of good players now in Europe. But of course, I don't see this as negative. I see that Japan is spending a lot of time and effort for the grassroots and development. So all the top players now in Europe are still next generation coming up. It's always a good cycle. I believe that the J-League is providing good platform to the younger people, younger age, to give a chance to play in the league. This is the before and after. Before the J-League, Japan never played the World Cup. But since 1993, 5 consecutive the World Cup Japan played. And so far, last 20 years, is thanks to J-League, is Japan national team level is quite is increasing, and also now is the Asian champion at this moment. As you see, that the player in Europe, we have a lot of players now in different leagues in Europe, and of course the J-League is the need to produce another good players who can play in Europe or other good leagues in the future. But at this moment, we have a lot of the good players now in the mainly in Europe. I have a little bit good stats I'd like to share with you. The review of the Asian football leagues. This is some interesting numbers here to share. Now I'm shifting to J-League to the little bit Asian football. If you see the Asia's top leagues by revenue, 2012 season, Japan is the 127 million, followed by Qatar, 77 millions. To understand growth of leagues in Asia, we should see the leagues, how the league is now. Collectively, top 10 Asian leagues, the revenue is $354 million. But some people say this is good, some people say still not yet. I see even though Japan $120 million, the value of the league revenue, if you compare with the other leagues, like this, J-League is 127 million. If you compare with Premier League, 22 billion, it's 17 times bigger. And also, if collectively top 10 Asian leagues, 6 times Premier League is bigger than the top 10 Asian leagues revenue. So I still see that still behind, still need to be catch up. Where the money come from is here. I think in the morning session had clearly mentioned a lot of the money, especially for the broadcasting rights coming from Asia. Nearly 50% of the money coming from Asia to the BPL. And also this is actually not 2013 season. Actually, this is a typo. 2010 to 13, the money come from most of the money, a lot of money from Southeast Asia. I see this is quite interesting finding. Previous slide, I show you, for instance, Thailand, for instance. Thailand yearly revenue is less than $1 million. However, the broadcaster in Thailand pays $310 million for 3 years, which is the average $100 million per year. So Thai league is domestically is spending less than $1 million a year, versus broadcasting rights to BPS is $100 million, 100 times. Thai broadcaster money goes to BPL, which is I think this is great because the BPL product is quite good. That's the reality. If compared with Japan's domestic league is 127 million versus BPL per year $15 million. So for Japan's case, it's 8 times bigger than Japanese broadcaster. to pay to BPA versus a domestic league. So if a fraction of this went to the local league, they imagine the potential. So of course that shows that a lot of things still Asian the league need to change, and also a lot of room to improve. Population, no need to mention. Of course, Asia has a lot of potential in terms of population. According to the report by NZ, the total global economy in 2050, almost 55% from Asia. So still Asia has a lot of potential in the future. This is the development cycle. Of course, if growth of Asian economy, raising investment opportunities, broadcast and sponsorship. This all good positive cycle, but as a reality, still sponsorship money still stays in Asia, but a lot of the broadcasting money is not very much reinvesting in this market. So again, I have a few always thinking about idea how to build the Asian football. And of course, we see a lot of the friendly games in Asia last couple of years. A lot of the club comes to pre-season games. But now, a lot of Asian people get used to see the good quality of the game already. So I really hope to next level for the not only J League but all the club, to have official games like opening games. Like NBA also had an opening game outside of US, also Major League Baseball as well, and French League has the official the games in China this year. So I think next stage would be maybe not only the friendly games, but maybe official games, maybe opening the games of the league. If happen to this Asia, it would be fantastic, I believe. And also the partnership with the other leagues. Japan has a lot of partnership with other leagues, but I like to have more the exchanging the ideas, coaches, and there's something this exchange program and a partnership will be workable in these Asian markets. So again, I think J League success and Japan football success is still underway, but for the spending a lot of grassroots and development is always success. And we see that how can we build football in Asia and also in Japan next 5 to 10 years. So we don't see too much short term. So we see more longer terms how we can improve. That's women's football is showed a good examples. We wouldn't expect that. Quickly happen in Japan to become the world champions, the national team, women's national team level, or also under 17. This is something, of course, the grassroots and the development is not that flashy, it's not that spectacular, but it takes time, take energy. But if we see a long-term vision, the result to come and fruits will be bare. So that's something I'd like to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kuni. I think a lot of fascinating figures there, and I think one of the most interesting ones was the Thailand numbers in terms of local and EPL rights sums. That was fascinating. So, Gulati, we've talked about leagues that have risen and are rising. One of the things that interests me about what happened in the States was that Major League Soccer, which everyone now sees as happily established, actually started after the World Cup in '94, which was after the rise and spectacular crash of the North American Soccer League. How do you sort of rebuild, if you like, the idea and then sell it of building a new league again in the States at that time?
Well, part of what we had to do was convince people that the history of soccer wasn't what they thought it was. Coming out of '94, we were selling something new. So what was different about Major League Soccer? Part of it was what I mentioned earlier, which was the governance and regulatory regime in the United States. We established a business model that was very different. But we also took into account some of the mistakes the previous league had made. We knew we would make many mistakes. We just didn't want to make the same ones. And that meant things like cost control. That meant things like slow expansion. That meant things like spending a lot of money on infrastructure, on building new stadiums. And it hasn't been easy along the way. There's been some tense moments. Now we're past the days where anyone's worried about the league not being there, but that wasn't always the case. And then the other thing that the North American Soccer League did for us in the 70s and 80s, while it didn't survive, it led to a great growth in participation in kids playing. So there's almost a, if you're looking at the statistic, there's almost a straight line increase in the number of kids playing during the years of the NASL. So we owe them a great debt of gratitude. That happened. World Cup happens. People in the business community look at it, maybe this can work. The Olympics were a huge success, which propelled us to the World Cup. So all of those pieces fell into place. And even with all those pieces, it's been hard work. And frankly, technology, as we saw just a moment ago, makes it harder. There's been a big question over the last few years. Is, for example, the Premier League best league in the world in many people's views, showing a lot more games in the U.S. Is that good or bad for American soccer and the development of MLS? If you look at the numbers we just saw and then the amount of money that's being spent on television rights outside of countries, it'd be pretty hard to argue that's good. Now, there's not anything we can do about it. The world is changing, technology, globalization. It's certainly good for the Premier League, but as you already touched on, if you could spend 5% of those funds. Now, in the recent deal that was just signed by Major League Soccer, we've actually edged out the Premier League for domestic rights in the U.S. versus what NBC pays the Premier League. That's a good thing, in my view, that the game is becoming more popular. But it's taken 19 years.
Yeah, it's not an overnight thing. To your right, I noticed that Jeff Slack has been making copious notes during all these presentations. I don't know whether
his memory is not that good.
Whether he was just taking down interesting ideas or doing a critique. Jeff, was there anything particular that you hit
Well,
you
I think
out
there
of that
were
stuff?
a number of things said in the presentations which are very apt to, at least at IMG, what we've been focusing on. I think the two areas of interest to the audience might be our work in India and in China. A few years ago, we took a strategic approach, just looking at the macroeconomics of the world, and said these are two countries that have tremendous football potential, but haven't realized their potential. India, a long way. China has had its ups and downs. And I think everyone in the room that cares about Asia and Asian football would say it would be a wonderful thing if those two countries were more competitive as it relates to football. So we did two things. In India, we actually signed a 15-year agreement with the All Indian Football Federation, encompassing kind of everything that they do. And the net result of that is we're launching a league called the Indian Super League in September in India, very much modeled on the Premier League. And Sunil touched upon it. One of the things that we learned that people in this audience will know intuitively is you have to understand the local. You think you might understand how football works and governance and best practices, but you got to get it locally. And we have a partner in India, Reliance Industries, the largest company, a private company in India, and it's helping us do that. And so when we did the agreement with the IAAF, we went into it saying we've got to have Indian partners to do this. We can't come in as IMG, even though we think we know how to put leagues together. The second thing that was very unique, India does have that history of the IPL and the 2020 cricket, which has been an enormous success. So they are used to franchise-based short tournament leagues. Now, the rest of us in football think that's kind of weird. But we actually think in India that can work, and certainly given the difficulties that have been related to Indian club football, we think it's kind of the only thing. So we did sell franchises in March. We raised $200 million, which is, I think, a big number for India, in addition to the numbers that we're putting in. Stars are partner of the business, IMG and Reliance. So we're very focused on that. And when I heard Cooney's, you look at what the J-League has done, and you just kind of dream you could sit here in 20 years and even a fraction of that success in India, and what a difference the world would make from the standpoint of football to have India a decent footballing nation. So that's one area that is of interest, and we can get into more details if people would like to talk about that. In China, we had a very different scenario. We created a 10-year agreement with the Chinese Super League to help them develop the league, but more traditionally commercially. So we are acting as an agent in some ways, but a long-term agent. One of the problems with Chinese football, for any of you who followed, has been an enormous amount of match fixing, corruption. The image is bad. So we did a few things. We hired David Beckham, which is very strange for IMG to actually go and pay a talent. That's what we're supposed to make money on those guys, not cost us money. But David was absolutely supreme. Anybody that knows him, he was fantastic. Did a great job of kind of relaunching the league. And then the other things we did was we tried to find the right partners. One of the first deals we did was with Carlsberg for not a lot of money, but Carlsberg has a great history in football. People remember they've been on the shirt of Liverpool, and they've been involved in the Euro and things like that. So we did some things kind of longer term. And to your point, Kuni, up there it said 15 million. This year will be over $50 million. So in a year and a half, we tripled the central revenue from the CSL. And again, that was because of the branding, but also because of the macroeconomics. So those are two little bit different scenarios, but I think for Asian football, if we can get these two countries going the right way, I think it'll help everyone and generate enormous greater interest in developing football in Asia.
Thank you. I think one of the interesting things that we're bearing in mind, I think particularly on this panel, and we're addressing Asian football, is that we have really leagues and experts here from leagues that are big, successful, money-making. And a lot of countries don't have that sort of wealth in them or don't have the same necessarily financial, economic potential. Are there any sort of particular, you've talked, Sunil, about governance structure and so on, getting the foundation right to start with. Are there any other particular ground rules that any of you can come up with that even the smallest country has to consider and has to get right to build the league successfully or even rebuild its league successfully? Adele, start with you. Is there anything?
I think federations and league authorities have to look into the right partnerships. From what I've seen and what I've learned, the sponsors of the leagues can make a big difference in the league performance even. One of the things that every sponsor can get is the assets and the exposure, and a league sponsor can maximize the assets. But this is, in my view, is not everything. One of the things that a league sponsor can benefit the league is being a friend of the fans. Provide them with what they like, so they will come back to the sponsor. So it's not a very direct relationship. Returns will come one day. In example, in Saudi Arabia, we made a contract with Opta as a sponsor. Why do we need to do that? But we've done that, so we put it on the league website. So we bring more traffic to the website and being a friend to the fans, even if they don't buy our product today. Awareness will raise, and they will come back one day. So why I'm getting into this, because I think finding the right partner from the league authorities and federations is very important. Finding the right company who can really raise the marketing value. We've seen in the presentation the revenues are very important measures, and this can't be done by federations working in an independent way. It has to be in full integration with the sponsor, the league authority, and every element of the game. So I think sponsors can play a big part of that if they're selected in an appropriate way.
I think to market league, of course we need to rely on the sponsor, but of course sometimes to market the league, I would go to the of course sponsor also broadcasters. So we need to sometimes if you start to the league, the sponsor may not understand what's the value. So every time we talk to a sponsor ask what's the benefits, what's a tangible benefit sometimes. But sometimes we sit down with sponsors, try to convince them, and this is sort of the new journey, and to not only for the branding but also to this is engagement. So wherever we ask some financial support and sit down with clients, what they want to achieve, and also the broadcasters are also very important to cover on TV, because if there's no coverage on TV, it's not hard to expose in the market. So Of course, it takes so much time, but we try to find a good the partners who understands who want to take the same journey with us, and try to spend a lot of time to convince. But this is all about sponsorship. It's all about pretty much engagement. No like a tickets or no branding anymore. But a lot of sponsors asking CSR, how to build, how to youth development, how to grassroots. So we try to package all together, not only for the branding, but also how to associate with the grassroots and the youth, and also CSR is quite key. And again, this is the broadcaster and the sponsors are very key to be part of the success of the league. I think to commercialize.
The other thing, and this is true for anything we're selling, and I see Mr. Dean sitting in the front. He could attest to this in his experience at Arsenal, and there are others in the room. Fans are customers. They're not just loyal supporters through anything of a club or an organization. And what I mean by that is now people that are in whether it's in the U.S. or in Jordan, can watch some of the best games in the world. So if the choice is doing that or going into an environment which is not comfortable, where you're not taken care of, and that doesn't mean you have to have a modern stadium with all the facilities of Wembley or the Emirates, but they're customers. And the experience of the 90-minute game and a few minutes at halftime, that's part of it. But it's also everything else that is part of that day, whether it's a fan zone outside in a more sophisticated environment, or whether it's better amenities or bathrooms that work or whatever it might be. Those things all matter because these are customers in the end. They're not just supporters. So supporters is a big part of it. They're there for the football. But you've got to make the experience better because there's a lot of other things that are competitive for their time in situations where other sports, other activities, and television.
Yeah. Adolfo, from your point of view, for example, I mean, there has been this sort of almost interesting contrast in the last few years where there's been a big economic crash, and yet it seems that money in sport and in football has kept on rising. Do you think there's a point where that money level is going to stop? Are you going to have to start working harder or looking in different ways? Or is your model already built to find new veins, new sources of revenue all the time?
What we're seeing is that where in the past there were a lot of properties that were of interest for the brands. As years go, there are brands or big brands are interested in less properties but good ones. So I think our challenge as a league is to be one of those big properties. I mean, there are established properties like FIFA World Cup, like Champions League, or Formula One, which is in a different sport. I think the challenge for us as a brand is to become a global property, to be able to deliver to the global brands what they're asking for, because the money is there. They spend big money doing activations and promotions and sponsorship in other areas, and that's where we need to be getting at. We've seen in our clubs in Spain, where when I worked myself for 2 clubs in Spain before coming to La Liga, 6-7 years ago, money was floating in. Local companies were paying sponsorship for the T-shirt, for everything. We were just teams used as portray their brand. Now they're looking for experiences and for added value. But the reality is the crisis meant that these small companies are no longer there. So small clubs struggle to sell their assets. So they look into us to sort of help, which in a way for La Liga is fantastic, because if we try to build a global property, the more assets we have our under umbrella, the better, because we can provide global brands presence in all stadiums or tickets to all the stadiums. And so for us, in that sense, this whole economical crisis and how the companies are going to should be good news in the future.
Jeff, do you see anything? I mean, from IMG's point of view, people see you sort of as sitting in the middle almost of this sort of whirlwind that's going on. I mean, how did you see that working out in the future in terms of the balance of money, sponsorships, value,
I think
financial levels?
again, I think you have to be very specific to the market, and I think the initial point was if you're in a smaller football market or smaller economy, what do you do to kind of generate excitement? And that is a challenge. It's much different than India and China, where you've got enormous marketing budgets. When you go to China and you go to the automobile companies and they say, well, money's no object. I mean, they have the biggest market in the world in cars. They can't sell them fast enough. It's a very different discussion than you would have in Europe or in a small country in Asia. So it's very specific. We have found that it's a very unsophisticated market. Even if it's big in China, they don't know how to do sports marketing. And you have a lot of state-owned enterprises who are very political. So again, very specific to that country. But the key things were get it on CCTV, so you have a lot of exposure because you need to drive exposure. So kind of the elements that would interest a sponsor, your exposure, the quality of the clubs, the management, you're going to fulfill the rights you're going to give them. Those things have to happen. So those are the types of things that we've seen, but these are generally not markets, and same with India, my experience has been nowhere near as sophisticated in sports marketing as you would have in traditional Western countries. You just have to recognize that going in and have your expectations, I think, tailored to that.
So, I mean, in all these cases, local knowledge is absolutely crucial, isn't it? Local understanding.
Well, I think all of us recognize that. I mean, if you, even as Neil and I, as Americans who aren't traditionally well known, is doing a good job, and certainly maybe not in this part of the world, understanding the world, you know, when you get to these places and you realize that it's much more complicated and you've got to have that local knowledge and combined with real sports marketing, management, football practices, then you can have a good chance of being successful.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. I think there's lots of fascinating points we've come across and ideas and figures and so on. What I'd like to do is invite any questions from the audience. Anyone who's got any points they'd like to raise, questions they'd like to ask our panelists. Let's say there's, right, we have one there. Oh, yeah.
I think he was pointing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right, don't fight. It's okay, we got time.
Okay, my name is Urs Zaniti, and I think it had a very, very interesting panel. Thank you very much for the presentations. We hear a lot of critics about the European leagues impeding the development of the leagues in Asia. But if I hear our friend from Saudi Arabia, it's not the case. Either what is true, because your most viewers seem to be viewers that like the local league. So I don't understand. Can you explain why, who is wrong, or maybe also about Japan? They're saying you grow. How is it possible when we always say the European leagues take your viewers?
I'm not criticizing at all. I think the products of BPL, for instance, that's a value. That's just a good products, you know. So what I meant is of course, Asia need to catch up. We need to learn from BPL. Why BPL is so successful? Because the player, because the quality of the games, or maybe quality of the TV signal, maybe the great pitch, also TV quality. The producer is a very nice coverage on TV. A lot of things we can think of, and of course, this is that all the numbers show us a reality. So. And also, I really want to Asian level of the football to catch up with those top leagues. So I think it's good things because of that value. Of course, if the football value goes up, you know, money goes from Asia to Europe. That's good. But of course, if 5%, 10% money stay in Asia, if we provide a good game of the football, this is something we need to aim to. So. We have to be very humble, and of course, J-League is still not succeed yet in that level. So every day, I ask myself, ask all the football families how we raise the level of the quality of the game of the football. And again, this is you know, European football is way up, but still we have a lot of room to improve. But I think we can catch up in next I don't know 5, 10 years, 20 years. At least, you know, again, that's the women's, the Japan's women, the team became world champions. At least, you know, the competition point of view already sort of proved that Asian can be the world champion. So, but of course, other things, the commercialization, still a lot of huge gap. So we have to be humble, we have to learn, and I hope we can catch up not too late, not too long time, you know, from now.
And Adel, do you have a particular view? Because those were fascinating figures from Saudi.
Yeah, I think from my side, I don't see, or I don't call it a competition between the local tournament and international or European leagues. I see it's more of integration. For the local leagues, we've monitored the behaviors of people, especially the young people who are watching the games. We've noticed that by tracking the viewership of the channels and the games, that people, they don't watch only the game. They watch things around the game more than watching the game. So if you see the analyst in the night, so the game end at 10, and the programs start after 10, from 10 to 1 a.m. Viewership on these programs are more than the game itself in Saudi. Yeah, so that gave us an opportunity. For the European leagues, they watch only the game. Arsenal is playing against Man United. Okay, 90 minutes and that's it. But Barcelona, Real Madrid, they watch the 90 minutes. But for the local, they watch more of like 6-7 hours before and after. So this gave us a chance to think about creating more content for them. So by creating the content, whether it's like the shows that we're doing on YouTube, the dialogue over the social media, the contests that we do over the social media and in our branches, the branded entertainment shows that we do before and after the games, gave us a chance to have an edge over the European leagues. Although I don't call it a competition, I see both of them are important because they increase the passion of football.
Sure. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the coverage and the experience, if you like, about the new stadium and what happened with that?
Yeah, actually, this is one of the obstacles, especially in the emerging part of the world where the infrastructures are different from, of course, the West, Europe, America, and so we don't have a similar infrastructure, although we have in Saudi good stadiums. Just recently, 2 weeks ago, we had the opening ceremony of one big stadium, but still we're lacking behind when it comes to infrastructure. So I believe that a sponsor could suffer a lot from that. But people would think that the sponsor is responsible. If you go ask any average person, what do you think about the sponsorship? He would think that the sponsor is responsible for the infrastructure, the stadiums, the ticketing, the experience, everything. That's why we started to think about what can we do there. So we're working today with the Repicom again to kick off a fans delight index. So we would like to start understanding the baseline. What would make the people more interested about the sport? What are the things that they will delight them, will make them happy? And what are the things that will switch them off? So we're kicking off this maybe in August or September, a delight index that we're going to track month by month. Why we're doing that? Because we felt that a lot of things are out of our circle of influence. We can't influence them. But by tracking them, we can bring them to the surface and give them to the authorities and show them that people are not happy about ticketing, for example. They're not happy about lack of hospitality in the stadiums. They don't have proper meals. They don't have parking. And this is the real role of a sponsor, not only putting signage. Because if you think about the sport, you need to elevate the sport. You need to do a lot of things, whether you can control them or they're out of your circle of influence.
It's a much better name they have, by the way. We call them consumer satisfaction reviews and delight index. I love that. Much better.
The other thing about to his point, I think there's, from our perspective, we're not competing against local leagues. We need to partner with them. Let me just put an extreme example, just China as a market. We might play a game at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and it will be a fantastic 10 p.m. game, prime time in China, and it's not shown live because there's snooker on telly or there is table tennis. So for us, as a sport, it's good that local leagues are stronger, have more interest. There's a lot of grassroots because that increases the level of interest for the sport. So our approach to those markets is we really, when we go into a market, we talk to the local leagues, we talk to the federations, we try to do partnership, a grassroots program to help grow the sport because it's on our own benefits.
Thank you. We had another question just over here on the left. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very entertaining, very educating. My name is Mazen. I run a football academy in Jordan. I'm also a FIFA player agent. I used to play professional in the United States, and I had colleagues from Japan as well. So I had the privilege to actually witness firsthand football in the States, how it actually went from few hundred to few, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 fans in the stadiums. And my question to Mr. Galati, how did you accomplish the basic fact? Because I used to play there, and I used to talk to the fans on a daily basis after the matches. We used to get, a couple hundred in the stadium, and then, once we talked to them, people didn't know the game. How did you accomplish the fact that you changed the sport culture, the football culture, mentality and approach with the local community? How did you manage that to get the thousands, the tens of thousands in the stadiums right now?
Well,
You've only got 5 minutes.
yeah,
Sorry,
I'm not sure we have accomplished that to the degree we'd like. It's not where we want it to be. It's not England or Brazil or Germany or Spain. A long way to go. But, the one word, which is always the toughest one, is patience. And it's taken a long time, and we're not anywhere near where we want to be. So I talked about the North American Soccer League, its growth, participation. Kids started playing a lot more, and their parents became interested, and those kids became more interested, and they grew up playing soccer rather than baseball or basketball or American football, whatever it might be. Some other things changed in the United States, some legal things. We had a law that changed the landscape at university for girls playing, which is one of the reasons we have a very successful women's and girls program in the U.S., a legal change about discrimination that affected the landscape dramatically and overnight. So you start put those components together, and then add the World Cup, and add the emergence of media, add interest in some international play, and the World Cup comes along every 4 years, so you can't rely only on that. But it's taken a long time, and we're made great progress, but when we compare ourselves to, let's say, American football, there's no comparison, or American baseball in most cases. So we still have a very, very long way to go. In a few weeks, the country will be focused on the World Cup, but not in the way that England will be focused on the World Cup. It'll be millions of people watching, but it won't be tens of millions of people. It won't be a 50 or a 60 share in the United States, where it might be in some other countries. So long way, long, hard process with some failures along the way. And we've got some natural advantages. We've got a country of 320 million people. So what might work in the U.S. is very different. We've got the resources to have 13 soccer-specific stadiums, and for stadiums of 25 or 30,000, some of the best in the world, with all the amenities you'd expect. So it's a lot of those pieces that have fallen into place, and we got better on the field, which helped. The U.S. team is now qualified for 7 straight World Cups, and we'll play in our 8th coming up. So it's all of those things, I think, that have been pieces of the puzzle. And yet, with everything working, still the road ahead, in my view, is a lot harder, because to get to the promised land, to get all the way up, is a lot of work.
Thank you. Yes, back there, please.
Good afternoon. I will have 2 questions. The first about the Spanish league. We know that 20 years ago, because of alcohol issues and what happened in the 80s, English Premier League moved to play in noontime matches. And I know, as someone who lived in ASEAN region for some time, that this is one of the main reasons we saw in the charts that all Southeast Asia is leading the followers of English Premier League. So for the Spanish league, do you think that targeting new markets will make you change to the time of your matches? Maybe that will change so many other factors in the Spanish league. And for Mr. Adil, you talked about the TV experience. And at the same time, you mentioned that to attract more attendance to the stadiums, we need to provide extra services. But don't you think that the better TV experience will also compete with the attendance in the stadiums?
Thank you.
I go first.
Adolfo, let's start. Thank you.
Our race for audience in Southeast Asia, as you mentioned, we are at the moment way behind the Premier League in some markets. Part of it is due to culture, because they've been linked through the Commonwealth to the English culture, and they've grown with being an Arsenal supporter or Liverpool supporter, and that we cannot change overnight. But to your point, as I explained before, yes, we've identified that we were playing too late for Asia. We were playing in the morning, early hours in the morning. So we've changed that. We have seen some positive developments in audience rates in those countries. We have made some market analysis comparing where we were last year when we played late at night and where we are now. And as I said, in countries like China, we have multiplied by 20 some of our audiences because we changed the starting kickoff times. So yes, it's something we will continue definitely doing.
Okay, Adam?
Regarding your question, you will be surprised by looking into the analysis that the more people you have in a stadium attendance, the higher viewership you have at TV. So they don't conflict with each other. I mean, they support each other. So, and this is by numbers and analysis for the past seasons. I believe that a sponsor and a federation can do a lot of things in the stadiums, even if they're not part of the infrastructure. I had an example we've done this season in Saudi Arabia that I can share with you. Today there is no catering in the stadium, so people can't buy food like in other countries. So we've started to think about why we don't create some jobs for young Saudis who are unemployed and give them a chance to live and have an income. So we've created a program called the Mobile Salesman. So we bring products, hot snacks, and some drinks, and we sell them to those guys. We've created 250 jobs with wholesale prices. Then they take it and they get into the stadiums. You've seen the attendance is huge, huh? Like almost reaching 1 million people. And they sell to the attendees with a retail price, so they do some margin. And those guys have been working for the whole season. If you take one of the cities in Saudi, like Riyadh or Jeddah, where you've got 3-4 big teams, and these teams are playing on a weekly basis. So those guys will have a chance to visit the stadium and make like 1,500 riyals, which is like almost $500 per week, which is not bad for an unemployed person to have like $2,000 a month, which is very good. So this is where I believe that they don't conflict with each other. The more you have people at stadium, the more excitement you have for the league, the higher viewership you have.
Thank you. That sounds like CSR in action. Thank you. Yes, we've got time for one more question, I think. Maybe we can squeeze one in. I'm sure SoccerX will allow us. Yes, it's just there. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for the lovely insight. Javier, the question's for you. You know, at the heart of the entire marketing effort is the product, and there's enough reason to believe that you know, the La Liga might be a polarized product going forward with the dominance that Barcelona and Real Madrid are showing, and the way the TV deals are structured. You know, they're supposed to have a lot of income going in there, and the others might. There's a fear that the others might fall behind.
I mean, we don't see the dominance of Madrid and Barcelona as a problem. For us, it's an honor to have such great teams and great players in our league because it increases our audience, the interest for the competition. The good news is that, as I said before, every year there is a third team or fourth team which is fighting for the Premiership. Like Atletico Madrid this season, they're going to play on Saturday. I think it's 9 o'clock here. Whoever wins is going to get the title. So for us, it's great that people recognize Madrid and Barcelona in all the countries because it's our business card. You know, it's your La Liga because those two teams play there. So we just benefit from them. And I think with our strategies, we try to complement their efforts, and we both grow with each other. I think I don't see it as a problem.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's time's gone so fast, I'm afraid it's thank you time already. Thank you to the panel, to Adel, Adolfo, Kuni, Jeff, and Sunil. Thank you to His Royal Highness, to AFDP, SoccerX for the excellent organisation here today. Thank you, most of all, to the audience, which has actually filled out while we've been here. Obviously, word was getting around and people have flooded in to hear the panel. Thank
the
you very
broadcast outside got more people into the stadium. That's what's going on.
It's the delight index.
He's right about this.
Yes.
Absolutely. The delight index came through.
Thank you very much for a short break, and then there will be another panel here discussing World Cups and players' ideas and a lot more interesting things. So more. Thank you very much indeed.